Up, Purple People podcast fans? Welcome to the show this week. This is episode number 315 over the Boone. So pumped to talk about this past game with you guys. As always, with me, I have Adam Carlson. What's up, bro?
I don't know, but as always, I've been missing a couple too many shows to be saying that.
You're here in spirit with us, and that's all that matters. We can definitely tell when you're not here because it always runs off, as we've heard in the comments. Like, these two guys are just running around talking about anything.
Yeah, we tend to lose focus every once in a while, and I think that we're going to do that a little bit today too, but we're going to try to focus as much as football as possible.
That's right. We got a good game to talk about. A lot of content this week. Kyle West is with us. What's up, bro? How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. I like the way we had half a podcast before we started recording this week's episode. If only you guys in the live chat knew how much we chatted before we start the show.
That's exactly
We've been here
right.
for what? We've been here for what? 20 minutes talking amongst ourselves.
Right?
I had a phone call. I jumped in late, but we've discussed a good number of juicy topics already. So
we
already have thumbs up in the chat.
That's what I'm talking about.
Amazing. Hey, let's be a dick here for a moment and do the thing I hate to do and encourage everyone to give us a thumbs up on YouTube.
Nope, that's perfectly okay. That is perfectly fine.
I hate doing that. We've been having a couple assholes who have been thumbs downing us, which is okay. But we need all of our regulars in the chat to show us some support and show us some love.
Guess what? There's another thumbs up right there because I'm going to thumbs up my own video. That's even douchier than.
We got Yang Yaj, Nate Castle hanging out in here. Got a sub from the Quad Cities, which I don't even know what the Quad Cities is, but I'd go there. I know that song about the train, Come On Ride the Train. That's them, right?
Yes.
Sure.
The Quad City DJs.
God, Adam has all the references. Get this man a cheeseburger.
You watch so much Jeopardy. It's just not even fair.
Tommy Gunn, what's up, dude? Haven't heard from you in a while. What's up, brother? Eric Grindal's there.
Grindal, Sergio Moreno, all the regulars are showing up in chat. Awesome to have people.
Awesome.
All right, we won't. Well, I won't jump too far ahead of everything, but hey, welcome in the chat. Thank you guys for joining us. 315, if you can believe it, over the Boone. We're going to talk about Mike Boone. Is that his name? Mike Boone? Making sure I had that right. Had a great game this weekend against the Jaguars. We're going to talk about that preseason game that we lost 14-10 to the Jaguars. But first,
season's over.
Yeah, season's over. Fire Mike Zimmer, get rid of Kirk Cousins, and let's rebuild. We're in rebuild mode right
rebuild mode. We can't sign AP no more.
We're going to talk about that too.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some roster moves. I'm sure Adam can help us out here because I don't know a bunch of these guys, but I like the positions that we filled in. Kobe McCrary, 6'1", 240, fullback from the University of Minnesota.
Now, I've heard good things about guys that wear purple and gold and are named Kobe.
Correct. Oh,
so we'll see how this works out.
Call me a Coke.
I'll send you one, man.
Yeah.
I think I owe you one anyways.
Mm-hmm.
This is cool, man. This is it. This is typical Minnesota stuff. Hometown guy. My notes here say rushed for 738 yards, 11 touchdowns in 2 seasons. The Gophers 5.3 yards per carry as a senior. That's not a bad. It's not a bad little stat to have.
I mean, I don't know what kind of numbers fullbacks typically put up, but in 2 seasons, 738 yards and 11 touchdowns, 5.3 yards per carry as a senior. That seems like decent numbers for a fullback to me. I always like when the Vikings can bring in someone with a Gophers connection because that's just fun.
Yeah, I like it.
Sorry, I had to talk shit in the chat about Chris Thomas and couldn't start the show off.
Oh, no, not again. Not already.
Yes, already.
Douche.
Kareem R. A-R-E. R. We're going with R like a pirate. Kareem R. 6'6", 325 guard from Florida State. Spent time with the Raiders as an undrafted free agent last year. Started 8 games at left guard at Florida State his junior season. He blocked for Dalvin Cook. So there's a little bit of a relationship there. Anytime you sign offensive lineman, I am okay with it. And as long as it's not Richie Incognito, we are good to go.
Yeah, having depth available on the offensive line is always the key. Gotta try to have things as good as possible.
Especially with some of the injuries that we've had recently, you got to have that depth. You've always got to have that depth. We know that as Vikings fans. So, Well, I will not complain about the signing.
No, you got to bring in people, especially when you got to put other guys on injured reserve or sadly cut guys that aren't winning competitions.
Cut them.
Yep, you guys probably have heard this if you haven't already. There's been some injuries and some shakeups over the off-season training camp and into this game. There's been a lot of injuries. It happens. That's what football's gonna, produce. But like I was saying earlier, any kind of depth you can sign in the offensive line, we got to keep that $84 million asset upright and hopefully get Dalvin Cook 1,000-yard rushing season. So we got to do all that. It's got to start there. So hopefully we'll see how that shakes out. The good thing he has some experience with another team. This was the big news of the day. I was going to go with this guy for the main topic, but I mean, he's gone now. We don't have anything too terrible to say about him. But if you didn't hear about the news today, the Vikings have released kicker Kai Forbath. This will pave the way for rookie draft pick Daniel Carlson. Kai Forbath was with the team since November of 2016, 47 of 53 in field goals and 45 of 53 on extra points with the Vikings. Not a terrible percentage for a kicker, but there have been some WTF misses on Kai's part, but overall, not a distraction. Didn't really lose any games for us. He was there in the clutch most of the time. Most notably, his last game that he played with us against second to last game against the Saints. Before that miracle play, Kai was the hero of that game. So I give him a lot of credit and wish him well, and hope he finds another roster spot somewhere.
Yeah, I got to meet him twice while he was in Minnesota. Nice guy. I was always wearing his Hard Rock Band T-shirts, which is fun to see. That, and while he was here, he was a professional. I mean, there was the incident of him being a little frustrated when he was getting phone calls after the Vikings drafted Daniel Carlson, but I don't think that's a very
really
classic thing
him.
to do anyway.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too – man, you got to think about that. I think about that all the time for music for me, since I love music so much, is if you're famous on any level and any kind of drama comes out and people have access to communicate with you, especially now with social media, how frustrating that's got to be. I didn't really get too mad at him about that. It's got to be a crappy phone call to get, especially for a kicker. If you draft a quarterback, maybe you can have that competition, maybe if you're good enough to where you can keep a job. But if you're a kicker and the team drafts a kicker, you pretty much know the writing's on the wall.
Well, and I mean, with any other position, quarterback, running back, corner, whatever you want to say, there's always depth. You always keep more than one.
Right.
You typically don't keep more than one kicker on the roster. This is a move that we all expected. We all knew this was coming. Still, it does kind of suck because I liked Kai Forbath. I mean, he saved us from a really terrible end to Blair Walsh's tenure as a Viking, and I thought that Kai was solid. He did everything that he was asked to do.
Kai didn't have a big leg. He wasn't going to hit, those 60-yarders on a regular basis. That's not what he does. He's not going to boom a lot of those kicks through the back of the end zone for a touchback. That's not what you use him for.
Right.
But I think Daniel Carlson will be able to do a lot of this kind of stuff that they've been hoping to do. I think the writing, like is being said in the chat over here, was pretty much on the wall after it was Kai Forbath's turn to handle the kicks and the extra points, and he missed one against Jacksonville, and he didn't come back in the game. I think that kind of set it all in stone right there.
Although I do think, I think that definitely factors into it. Although the Vikings probably maybe did him a solid by cutting him now to give him an opportunity to maybe catch on another NFL squad somewhere. I think that, that is kind of an appropriate thing to do if you're not going to stick on with him, is to try to give him an opportunity to find work elsewhere. And
like Blackjack's saying in the chat here, let's face it, kicker battle was over before it begun. You don't use a fifth-round draft pick on a kicker unless he's going to replace someone. No, you don't trade up into the fifth round to get a kicker to compete with Kai Forbath. It was Carlson's job to lose. He had the placement, he had the preference, and Kai Forbath, I'm not really sure why they dragged him along this long, but hopefully he can find something, because he's not a bad kicker at all.
Yeah, I think he'll find a job somewhere else. Hey, it doesn't take much. We find quarterbacks that we question, sometimes why do they still have a job? They keep popping up. Not to say that they're terrible. I'm thinking more of the Ryan Fitzpatricks in the NFL. They just keep finding places to play and start. But if you miss 3 field goals in a row, 1 week, 1 week here, a week there, another week, you're gone. I mean, they just don't play like that. So I think Kai's got a chance to be somewhere else. The question is where, but we wish him the best. Had nothing bad to say about him. Certainly left a better impression than Blair Walsh did. So,
absolutely. Now, I'm going to hijack the quick hits for a second because I have something to add that we don't have in the notes.
Let's go.
The Alliance of American Football. We've been talking about this a little bit. Jared Allen's an investor. We got 2 former Vikings staff members as coaches. And now we've got some former Vikings players landing on the roster. Linebacker Brandon Watts is going to join the team in Atlanta. And long snapper Nick Dooley, who was just recently released by the Vikings, is going to land in Phoenix.
That's cool.
That's a cool fit. Thank you for sharing that with us, man.
Yeah, that's a piece I'm actually going to throw up on the Viking Age here within a couple of days. So figure I'll give the exclusive right here on the podcast.
Awesome. I like that. That's neat.
Adam Carlson coming in the clutch, much like Daniel Carlson with his kicks lately.
It's true.
I still think you need a jersey, Adam.
I don't know. Minnesota Vikings number 7 jerseys, they're hard to buy, man.
That or they do awesome one year and then they get traded to the Broncos or cut and signed by the Broncos. It's yeah, pick your poison on that. I'm not buying anymore. I'm super superstitious about that. So
You're not superstitious.
Super duperstitious.
But you are a little stitious.
A little stitious. What a fantastic joke. Placed on injured reserve this weekend. Ade Aruna, defensive end, 6th-round pick in the NFL draft this year. I don't know much about him. I know we had a lot of injuries. I think Tommy highlighted in the chats. We had like 5 or 6 injuries this game. It was brutal to watch. Mm-hmm. I actually got a text message about it from my Chicago Bears friend. And he's like, man, another one bites the dust. I was like, what? I'm not watching the game. What happened? He's like, oh, yeah, you guys are dropping left and right. So wish him a speedy recovery for sure. Wade with
those young draft picks. You always got to kind of root for them. Ade Aruna had a little bit of a track record of success. And even though his college play is kind of limited, he had those flashes where you saw that potential. And you know that was why the Minnesota Vikings grabbed him, is because they saw his talent and his youth. And they saw a player they could possibly develop into something good. So, Ade Aruna, we're gonna miss you on the regular roster or even on the practice squad, whatever it is. But take that time and come back, like Hercules Mataafa. Take that time, hone your skill, get ready for the NFL because you're gonna be back next year to fight.
Yeah, we wish him a speedy recovery. Everything. Like you said, he's a rookie. You can come back from that. It's not one of those older guys who has a track record of this now. It happens. Hopefully he can bounce back. Other players that we have, too, that are waived with injury designations: Cedric Lang, offensive lineman; Josiah Price, tight end; and Johnny Stanton, fullback. These guys are all waived with injury designations. So speedy recovery to all those guys.
It is kind of weird the Vikings want to run with those 2 fullbacks. I guess they need one as a camp body to work with the second team, huh?
Mm-hmm.
But let's be honest, Kobe McCrary, not likely to make the roster. It's weird when you can look and you can see these camp bodies. Like Peter Pohas is likely not going to make a roster at quarterback, but you got to have that 4th quarterback for camp, you know?
Yeah, you do. And for, preseason game 4, you've got to have backups and bodies for that as well.
And it works out even better, too, because you don't have to keep them till final cuts now. There's just the one big cut.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to swap these last 2. Speaking of injuries, Vikings cornerback Mackenzie Alexander, an MRI done on his ankle Monday morning, which did not show any serious injury, appears to have a sprained ankle. So that's a sigh of relief. We don't want one of our up-and-comers, especially at that crucial position, to be done for the season or for a long time. So he'll inevitably be off for these next 2 weeks, nursing a sprained ankle. Maybe we'll see him in the opener. Who knows? But that's good news. Good news about Mackenzie Alexander.
I know a lot of people are talking about the depth that the Vikings have at cornerback, and there's already been rumblings about this. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but Paul Allen has said that the Vikings might have a sneaky trade in the works.
Yeah, I heard that. And I don't know if he's basing that on anything or what.
And some people are already speculating that it might be shipping Trey Waynes out, which I would be shocked.
Smith and I talked about that last week. We discussed that rumor about Trey Waynes, and we were all you're on the same page as what we were, Adam, about how I just don't see that happening. It's just not going to happen.
But I don't know. It's just a really weird situation where these rumors start circulating around. You got to start to wonder, where is who going to go? Is this a real thing? And who do the Vikings have of value with a contract that they could trade to try to grab someone with anything? I love PA. I really do. He's a lot of fun as an announcer. I love hearing when a Vikings player's loose. It's great. But until some kind of deal actually starts to get put into motion, it's time to relax a little bit.
Yeah, I kind of wish he would stay off the rumor mill kind of thing. I don't know, just with knowing how close he is to the team, and having connections with Rick Spielman and some kind of friendship and whatnot with Wabi and stuff. Unless he is verifying a rumor or something that the team is actually doing, I don't think that we need Paul Allen specifically out here saying weird things, because his voice carries a lot of weight with Vikings fans.
It does.
And I just don't know. I'm with you. I'm not really super comfortable with him talking about wild trade rumors without really having anything further than that.
Yeah, but getting back to the main topic here, I don't think that with Mackenzie Alexander being so young, and especially with him kind of coming in a little bit dinged up, the development of Mike Hughes, the hopeful development of Holton Hill, 1 year being left on the contract for Terrence Newman, who's probably going to retire after this year, shipping out a player like Trey Waynes just doesn't make sense.
Nope. Because what happens, I don't even want to say it, but what happens if injury strikes early with like Mike Hughes? I don't even want to say that, but if that does happen and you've traded away Trey Waynes, you're hemorrhaging the team's future. Like, I don't see it.
And you guys all know that I am a fan of Mackenzie Alexander. I enjoyed his work at college. Yeah. I was high on him coming into the draft. I do think that he's a very talented player when he's not asked to play against tight ends or the slot corners. I like him on the outside. Hopefully Trey Waynes can keep that job on the outside and stay healthy, along with Rhodes to be able to have just shut down guys on the outside, or at least capable guys on the outside. I'm interested to watch these competitions that are happening on the inside, and I hope Mackenzie Alexander can be healthy enough to be part of that competition.
I agree.
To piggyback on, no, I'm just kidding.
We haven't said that for a while.
Yeah, I know. I had to throw that in there. You guys were covering all the bases. There's no need for me to chat in about that. I agree with that. Big news of the day, former Vikings great running back Adrian Peterson. He signed with the Washington Redskins today. They've lost, I know at least one. I don't know if it's two, but I know that they had a big running back injury recently.
Yeah, they lost Darius Geis for the season, and then they've got two other running backs that are banged up pretty bad.
They've got Samaje Perine. I remember him. I don't know who the third is, but they are struggling at running back. So,
and Perine's got a broken bone in his hand, right?
I'm not sure. He's the one I remember because he's got a unique name. I know that. I just know that at least two of their running backs, and I believe it was the starting two, are injured, and I think the third's a little banged up. So one, I believe, is done for the year. So this makes perfect sense. Sign a veteran. It's not a terrible team. It's where Kirk Cousins came from. They have a decent quarterback. I'm not really sure, minus Jordan Reed, the offensive weapons after that are just explosive and blow you off the charts. But, I mean, if you add AP to the team and he works and fits your offense, why not? I'm happy for him. I kind of had a feeling he'd sign somewhere. I'm honestly surprised. We're talking about free agents everywhere. I'm very surprised he got a job before Des Bryant did. He's been floating around, and a lot of teams are kind of lacking at wide receiver. But I'm happy for AP. Good luck in Washington. And if he has a really good year, like close to 1,000 yards, he's going to crack into the top 10. He's going to break 100 touchdowns. And
he only needs like 30 yards to break into the top 10, doesn't he?
I thought it was something like that.
He should very easily make top 10 in the NFL in rushing this year.
If my memory serves me right, too, I think he's at 99 touchdowns, somewhere around there. So he should be very close. He's going to break into some really, really solidified great ground as long as he doesn't get injured. So I hope he's there for the whole season. I hope he has a great year. And AP is a Washington Redskin now. weird to say.
I'm glad to see him landing somewhere because he was a free agent for what I thought was way too long. I'm interested to see what the deals with the details of the deal are because I haven't seen them yet.
I don't think they've been announced yet, Adam. I haven't seen any.
But yeah, I think this was probably the best opportunity that he's got.
You know, for Adrian, post Minnesota Vikings, we haven't had an opportunity to see him spend a full season with another team just to kind of see what he can do. And because, you know, it was never a fit with the Saints, never, ever, ever a fit with the Saints. That didn't make sense to any of us. And then we've seen when he went to Arizona, he had a couple games, and then I don't know if he got hurt or what happened. But so I'm kind of looking forward to, can he play a full season with Washington? Will he look like Adrian that we're used to? Maybe minus a step or two because he's getting older. What are we wowing about?
He signed for the veterans minimum. He finally did it, guys.
Wow.
I was checking in the chat because who said it here? Sergio had it right. I wanted to Google it. This is on ESPN per John Keim 7 hours ago. Veterans minimum of $1.015 million. Source from Adam Schefter. Holy crap. He finally did it, guys. It only took him to get to be 33 and hugely overpaid later to do it. Hey, I got respect for him for doing that.
You know what this means? We got a pissed off Adrian Peterson who wants to prove some critics wrong.
I like it.
I don't know. I'm not saying pick him in first in your fantasy football, but he could go all out for at least a couple games for Washington. I kind of hope so, man. I don't know. I'm kind of over the whole being pissed at Adrian thing. Like, that's in the past. Just have a good season, have a good rest of your career, and retire so we can all be fans.
This is the only thing that worries me. We remember where he tore his ACL, right?
Was it in Washington?
It was in fucking Washington, and that field is trash.
Shit.
It's garbage there. I just don't want that to affect him again. Because remember, his last season with the Vikings, we were only 2 games in, and he tweaked it. He had a sprained MCL. I mean, the injury bug, that's kind of one of the things that follows him around for his career. I hope that doesn't happen, but that's a big thing for us as fans. We've talked about that on the show many times. Take a pay cut, man. You were the MVP. You're not the MVP anymore. But
wow, he finally did it, man.
Man, that's crazy.
So, you know, as a long time Vikings fan, like, that needed to be clarified. Jesus, where was I going with that statement? That is surprising, right? That he actually did it.
I wouldn't have thought that, but like I said, it's a good fit. He'll get carries there. He'll move into the top 10 all-time rushing.
I'm happy for him. I'm happy for you. Good job, AP, man. That's cool. You earn a little bit of my respect back for that. Not that it matters, but that's cool. All right, let's talk about this game. We're running into the Vikings and the Jaguars. The Jaguars and the Vikings had joint practice last week, and then the Jaguars stayed in Minnesota to play an away game at home for Minnesota. The first debut of Kirk Cousins in a Vikings uniform at home. And it was very sloppy. Kirk Cousins did not look good. The offense in general, especially the passing attack, did not look good. We lost 14-10. It was sloppy. Everything that I've seen highlight-wise, it was pretty bad. So let's run down our game balls and donkeys. I'll jump right in. I'm giving my game ball to Ifeadi Odenigbo. He led the team defensively. 7 total tackles, 5 solo, 2 sacks, and 2 sacks for loss. He had 3 quarterback hits. He gets my game ball, hands down.
My game ball, I got 2, so
yes,
whichever one Mr. West doesn't pick, I'll take.
Yes, he finally has 2.
I'm going to give mine to how well you pronounced Ifeadi Odenigbo's name, Kyle Smith.
Thank you.
That it rolled off your tongue really super well, like you had been practicing in the mirror before we had started recording the show. So I got to say, I was at work during this game, so I didn't get a chance to watch it live. I watched as much of the highlights and the pressers and stuff as I could. So I'm going more on stats than anything here. But Mike Boone, heyo, I'm going to stick with the running backs like I did last week.
Wasn't he your donkey last week?
No, that was the other guy. What's his name? Mac Brown? Fuck Mac.
Mac Brown, yes.
Mac Brown.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck him. He ain't making the roster. I'm going with Mike Boone.
You don't even know the guy. You're just like, F that guy. He sucks.
Poor Mac Brown.
Well, shit, he does. I'm going with Mike Boone. We need our running backs to step up, and so I like seeing him do well. And he looked good on the stat sheet. And I'll let you guys talk for a moment. How about that?
Well, I had two guys that was going into this, and I thought one of you guys is going to take one and make this easy for me, and you didn't.
Oh, we didn't pick. You still have two left.
So
go for both of them. Double up. It's preseason.
No, you got to pick one. That's how this works.
Given to the dark side, Adam. It's 2018. Everybody gets an award, okay?
So I'm going to give my game ball to Jaleel Johnson.
There you go.
Led the team with 6 tackles, clogged up the middle of the field really well. Pro Football Focus really loved everything that he did. The other guy that really put himself up in consideration, Danielle Hunter was making Cam Robinson look real bad.
On the opposite side.
Opposite side?
Yeah, I don't believe he was playing. We were talking about that today. They were talking about it in the press conference today. I think he's usually the left, and he was on the opposite side of what he plays on.
Yeah, they had him subbing in for Everson.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Robinson made the other side. So
what a wealth of talent. How do we have all these guys on defense?
Rick Spielman.
On that line in particular.
Because he's so terrible at drafting.
Right?
And yeah, this was going to be a low-scoring game. We knew that heading in. Two of the league's top defenses doing their absolute greatest thing. Not only that, but they went head-to-head in those practices, and they knew each other real well heading in. What I thought was there are two things that I took away from this game that I kind of went, I don't know. The first is that the Jaguars played their first team through the first half, while the Vikings kind of cut everybody out after the first quarter, so that made it look a little weird. But it also had a situation where you had the second-team Vikings defense performing pretty well against the Jaguars' first-team offense. So you can't complain too much there at all either.
Because Blake Bortles is trash.
The other thing that I really took away from this game
for Teddy
that I kind of didn't like is the Jaguars were playing this game like it was a regular season game. They were running these screens and slants to pick up first downs, and I understand that needs to be part of your offense, but for the most part, in the preseason, your offense is supposed to be bland. You're not supposed to be running at least 2 screens every possession. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Jacksonville doing what Jacksonville does. This is a Vikings podcast, 1,000%, but I'll give a bold take on the outside going in because I agree with some of the people that I listen to at night when I'm falling asleep.
Katie Nolan?
No, not Katie. See, you guys bring her up. I don't. Right?
No, he watches Katie Nolan late at night. He doesn't listen to her.
Oh, man. By the way, best thing I've ever seen, Katie Nolan had Kay Adams on her Garbage Time podcast.
Oh, my God.
If that's not a combination for an hour of your time, you guys check that out. I told the guys about this last week. Holy shit. Okay.
Can you send me a link to that?
Yeah, I got you, man. I got you. Kyle's going to sign off early. I'll be back, guys. No.
Yep. Back in 15.
Yeah, but I don't think the Jaguars are making the playoffs, man. They had such a good run. But
with that defense, you don't think they'll do it?
Hell no. Deshaun Watson and Andrew Luck are coming back. They're going to go back to the land of mediocrity. I'm not saying they're going to be the Browns, but I don't see them making the playoffs because one of those two teams is going to win the AFC South.
I'm still shocked they let Allen Robinson go.
Yeah, that too. They'll pound the rock. They're not going to trust Blake Bortles to do anything crazy because he's terrible. And you got Leonard Fournette to throw it around and let him be AP of the new. But that's my bold take for the NFL. I'll give you a Vikings bold take soon. But
those were the two things I really took away from that game is watching the Vikings second team against the Jaguars first team and not giving up a ton of points, not giving up a lot of first downs, being able to move the ball a little bit against a first team defense. I walked away a little impressed.
That's encouraging, man. I did not know that.
See, that's why looking at the stat sheet for the preseason is so hard because you've got to kind of pay attention because each team will do things a little differently. Mm-hmm. And with that week 3 preseason game coming up, the dress rehearsal, it should be even more fun.
Not according to Mike Zimmer. Did you hear that statement today in that presser? Jesus, man. He was giving Chris Thomason the business today. Mike Zimmer is my all-time hero. Yeah,
he does not like Chris Tomlinson, and he does not.
He takes pictures at funerals. He's a fucking turd. He's terrible. Chris Thompson, for you guys that didn't hear today, the Vikings interviewed Mike Zimmer. What's today? It's Monday. They're getting back into the swing of things after a Saturday game. Hey, what'd you see on film that you didn't see Sunday or Saturday after you watched? Blah, blah, blah. And Chris Thompson said, the poor guy, it wasn't actually a terrible question, but Mike Zimmer just doesn't like him. Asked, hey, historically, the preseason third game is when you play the people the most. He's like, historically, I don't care because I want to judge everybody. It's like, and Mike Zimmer's a gangster, man. I love him.
It was like, historically, it doesn't matter what the Vikings have done in the past.
Hey, you wanted a hot take? Here's a hot take. Fuck your hot take. I love how much they just don't like that guy. And for fair reason. He did that to himself.
Although you're right. In terms of dumb questions, it wasn't really that dumb of a question.
Yeah, for him especially. That was actually not a bad question compared to what he asked. But we'll jump back into this. I gave my donkey to Latavius Murray for fumbling twice. That one that he fumbled and just threw away was just super not like him, especially after seeing him slowly get better and better and better each game.
Looked really, really good week one.
Yeah.
Does anybody not have Murray as their donkey?
He was 6 carries for 12 yards, and the longest that he had was an 11. No, I'm all right. Thanks.
My donkey was that flag that was thrown on the cleanest hit to a quarterback you will ever see. That is now
I knew you were going to say that.
I don't know what that shit was.
That body weight rule, I don't like that rule.
I don't. Gravity,
I'll never
man.
like that rule. I think if you don't lead with your helmet, if you use your arm to bring a guy to the ground, arm and body, that should be fine.
We talked about this before the show. We talked about basic physics, what it's going to take to slow someone down. We're either going to have to do one of two things. We're either going to have to change this back and let it be what it is, or we're going to have to shape people from the youth football era and teach them away. And that's the other thing. That's a sub part of that option is, okay, let's say we should go back and start training our youth to do this, and we'll make this a league-wide thing. What are you going to do to teach people not to do that? How are you physically going to change somebody from landing on their body weight when they're supposed to be a projectile? And then players talked about this. Are we going to slow down and try to not hit them as hard? Because you're going to injure yourself that way. Mm-hmm. There's too many cons to this and not enough pros.
I mean, you heard what Mike Zimmer said during his press conferences today, where he was like, this will cost games and it will cost people jobs because of this rule. Some team is going to lose a game and it's going to result in people getting fired, which is it's unfortunate, but that's the path that we're going down, and I don't like it. I'm all for protecting players, like you said, Adam. The whole dropping your head and leading with the crown of your helmet needs to be taken out of the game. But I don't know how you don't fall on top of another player.
When you body weight them with your body weight?
Yeah, how do you... That's not, like Harrison Smith said, that's not physically possible.
I understand that Andy Dalton having Linval Joseph fall on him isn't good.
Well, don't be a quarterback. I tell your line to block better for you. What the hell do you want me to say?
And I mean, I will give them this. The whole, you go high on a quarterback like what Anthony Barr did, and he wrapped around a quarterback and kind of drove him to the ground. I can understand wanting to take the whole wrapping and driving part out of the game. But I don't know. There's just so much gray area.
What we're seeing with this rule is something kind of different. Receivers are catching the ball and starting to go to the ground quickly because they know defenders are going to be trying to tackle low so that their helmet doesn't hit helmet.
Correct.
Now, as the ball carrier lowers their head and lowers their body, that target area gets smaller and the defender has to get even lower.
I still want to know what happens when Stephon Diggs catches a pass in the middle of the field and he's got open space and there's a shitty defender in front of him and Diggs lowers himself to plow through someone.
That's going to be a penalty.
Will they actually call it?
Absolutely. I guarantee you I promise you, and it's going to be like what you said with Mike Zimmer today. Not only, Harrison Smith said it today, excuse me, not only is it going to be for offensive and defensive players, this is going to cause crucial moments in games. This is going to decide teams going to the playoffs because like my brother loves the Los Angeles Chargers, right? They were 9-7 last year, something like that. They were 2 or 3 games away with a shitty kicker away from going to the playoffs, right? And you're like, man, if only 2 or 3 plays were different, we would have been a playoff team. And who knows what could have happened? The Giants are the biggest point of that with the Patriots a couple years ago, right?
I mean,
what are you going to do when your guy it's 3rd and 13 and you come up with this massive play and now they got a first down and they end up beating you by a field goal? What are you going to do?
Right. Like
that's going to alter so many games. It's so shitty because it seems like it's impossible what they're trying to enforce.
Right, like it should be a sack on a 3rd down for a loss, and the punt team should come out. But here comes a flag for Tom Brady, and the Patriots get a first down and a game-winning drive. Because that's
that
what's
helmet
gonna
rule
happen.
would nullify every Jerome Bettis touchdown ever.
Yeah.
Because seriously, that's all Jerome Bettis did. He'd get the ball at the 1 or the 2 yard line, lower his shoulder, lower his head, run in the end zone.
Mike Allstott.
Exactly.
Yeah. AP, his style of play.
Yeah, especially early in his career, he was going to truck whoever was in his way. And
that's one of my favorite AP plays of all time was against the Steelers when he trucked William Gay in the middle of the field. Adrian just leveled himself and shot into him and then kept going.
I don't know, man. I get it. Like I said before we started, the world, civilization, people, technology, everything's going to evolve, right? Things are going to get smarter, faster, and safer. But this is just the nature of this is kind of to me saying, hey, I turned on the stove. How do I make this burner not hot? I don't understand how you want that to happen.
As the league keeps getting bigger, stronger, faster, they're going to have to keep doing everything they can to protect these players from these huge impacts that are going to come. And I don't see any way to really prevent it with a rule book. I think it's got to come down to respect on the field.
Look at Danielle Hunter. Danielle Hunter is like an athlete I've never seen before. His arms are so big, they've got their own zip code. I mean, he's a freakish defensive end.
Sergio Moreno said in the chat, not everyone can take down a 200-plus pound quarterback with one hand like Danielle Hunter. That's true.
Yeah. I mean,
absolutely true.
You even compare him to a few years ago of Jared Allen. And, I mean, Jared Allen was a specimen. And it's just Danielle Hunter is just next level.
Yeah, he's humongous.
Yeah, yep.
Back to your point, though, about, talking about driving quarterbacks down. They've already said, because this was a stupid thing that pissed me off, but once I realized what the context was, it wasn't as bad. The hit on Aaron Rodgers last year during the Vikings game from Anthony Barr, they're saying that style of tackle this season and going forward would be a penalty. Yes. We understand that now, not last year. I know a lot of Packers fans thought that it was a dirty hit last year, but based on the rules last year, it was not. Mm-hmm. But they're saying styles and hits like that, which I kind of sort of see.
That's kind of what I was talking about, because he did wrap his arms and it was up high. It was around his shoulders.
Well, not only that, it was a good second or second half after, I think it had gotten the ball out, but I'm not going to go back and defend against, if it wasn't called, it's like being guilty of something, going back and saying, you know what, I did it. No, that wasn't a penalty last year. It wasn't a penalty, but
there's a difference too between illegal and dirty.
Correct. 100%. This isn't the hit when Teddy was sliding against the Rams a couple years ago when the DB knocked him out cold for the rest of the game.
Oh yeah, that was awful.
It's not one of those, but we can beat this around as much as we want. I just don't know how you make something this violent not as violent. And these guys, you can hear it in the respect for their voice. Harrison Smith talked about it in his press conference today. He's like, I'm all for safety. He's like, I'm not against that. Linval Joseph said it too. He's like, I'm not against trying to protect yourself and not to be healthy and, keep playing. He's like, but at what point can we realize that some of this just isn't feasible? And if you think it is, how do you explain us to do that? And I think it's just from a lot of guys who are kind of out of touch and not playing it, or they just have unrealistic expectations.
And because he brought up a good point, and then we can move on, about how most of the players in the league agree about wanting to get rid of, when you're tackling someone and the play is basically over and you got that second player who comes in and leads with his helmet and will make a hit, about how that should be a penalty and they want that out of the game. That's part of what you said, Adam, about just the respect level for players increasing, is they're kind of policing themselves and recognizing that, like, hey, we don't need that second that second player to come in and make that hit when the play is already over. You don't need to do that. And I think that the players should be held accountable, kind of like hockey. Hockey players, there's a respect level, and they hold each other accountable. I think there needs to be more of that in the NFL.
Well, let's talk about penalties during this Vikings-Jacksonville game, because this was interesting. 20 accepted penalties during this game.
It's a lot.
For a total of 200 yards.
That's insane.
That's severely out of hand.
Mm-hmm.
Tommy's got an interesting point I'll bring up in the chat here. And he said, just listen to a Purple podcast with a guy who tracks penalties. New rules are enforced especially hard in the preseason at about 1.5 times per game, then occur on average once every 2 games in the regular season. That's a nice stat. Wonder with this how much it's going to change because it is a different rule, but that's a good little nugget to have. Appreciate that, Tommy.
That too, and I think the Vikings had a newer officiating staff which wanted to call things by the absolute book. And I think that as play kind of levels out, you're going to see a bit more leniency with rules. But for now, I don't blame these newer coaching staffs coming out here and following the letter of the rules to a T. I don't blame them one bit.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing that I would like to see. That'd be interesting. And I don't know if you guys would be interested in it, just a little another talking point, but let's have a documentary come out in the rooms and the meetings with referees and understand what goes on back there. That would be amazing to have some context on what these guys see, why they're doing what they're doing, and maybe it'll make fans, the ones that actually want to listen and not just bitch to hear their own voice. Oh, okay, now I understand why they're so hard in preseason. They want to nail it so they don't have to mess it up in the preseason and end up with a Seattle Green Bay touchdown interception thing. You know, whatever example you want to use.
That was fun. Come on, man. That was fun. That was a fun discussion to have.
But yeah, I'd rather see a 20 penalty, 200 penalty yard game in the preseason while they're cleaning things up,
right?
Than see that in the regular season or the playoffs.
Right.
That, and it's going to cost, like you said, we've beat it over the head today, but that's going to cost people not only, like Mike Zimmer said, jobs. Coaches are going to get fired over it. Players are going to get bench, cut, suspended, fined, whatever. But this is going to come at a crucial moment come week 14, 15, 16, when teams have to be on the brink of like, we have to win or we're going to be out of the playoffs. Or even worse, what if it happens in the playoffs?
But Tommy Gunn brings up a good point. At least we aren't still trying to define what a catch is.
Yeah, that's true.
There hasn't been much of that yet.
We've moved on from that for now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, now there's a new phenomenon. Yeah, you think there's a factory of people who try to figure out something for us to talk about every year, and they come up with something controversial? Where is that at? I think that's a thing. You know, I just cracked a conspiracy theory. Yep.
Maybe it's because I'm older and I pay closer attention to the NFL than what I did growing up. But doesn't it seem like the NFL does make more of an emphasis on some new rule every year? And this is a relatively newer thing. Like, I don't remember this so much watching growing up. Like, I don't remember there being like, here's a big new rule change that's going to completely alter.
I don't think it's out of the question. I think we should blame the media and social media, because this is all ESPN. This is all Get Up and then Lebitard and all, and Golick and Wingo. This is all they're going to talk about multiple segments of the day. And then everybody's going to get online and bitch about it because they hate it. And they just heard about it and they watched it. So that probably has something to do with it. But yeah, I don't know. It's ever prevalent these days for something.
And then we got the rule changes that get swept under the rug. I mean, like the formations on kickoffs that allow the returner a little more time.
Yeah.
You have not heard much of that at all.
You haven't. I think could possibly lead to more return touchdowns this season.
Absolutely. With shortening the kickoffs the previous couple years, everything's changing in really weird ways. And some of the more significant rule changes are getting ignored. Well, the media and fans are focusing on defining catches and worrying about helmet-to-helmet hits. A lot of these other changes to the game are just kind of swinging on by.
It's a good opportunity for other leagues to take a look at what the NFL is doing and cherry-pick rules and kind of have the best of both worlds, man. It really is. I really think so.
Now, we did miss a couple of things while we were doing our quick hits, so let's go back and let's talk about the game coming up against the Seattle Seahawks for the preseason week 3, which is going to feature a halftime game of the mascots taking on the young kids again. That's right. It's time
I hate that so much.
To plow over the kids on the field. Victor, the Vikings going to be there at halftime. It's going to be great.
You hate it, Kyle? I love it so much.
Oh my god. Grown ass adults in fucking mascot costumes.
Just plowing over kids. Be like, get it, yeah, check out this Heisman, bitch.
Yeah. Oh, stiff arm, lower that helmet.
I didn't look and
lower
see.
that mascot head, and there's no crown of the rule on that one. You truck those little kids with it.
Okay, so this is at home against the Seahawks. This is cool. All right.
Against the Bloomington Thundercats, the 5th grade Pee Wee football team. It's going to be fantastic. If you're going to the game at US Bank Stadium, you get to watch these kids get rocked, and I love it because they'll replay it up on the screen and everything. It's just the guys in the suits. Just oh wow.
We're gonna need game balls and donkeys for the halftime segment.
I do. I love watching those so much. It's so much fun.
I'm excited for the Seahawks game because I'm excited to see Shaquem Griffin play.
Wow, so this one's on Friday. I'm looking at it now. So this is at home. This is on Friday, 6 p.m. Mountain Time where I'm at. So 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central. So that's cool. I should be able to catch that game. All right, awesome. I'm going to try to catch that one.
Yeah, I like that the times are changing up a little bit. This means that we might actually have another podcast yet within the next couple days, maybe Saturday, Sunday, Monday, sometime in there.
I'm just saying, I'm free.
Podcasts are coming up pretty fast and furious right now.
Partially because we couldn't figure it out last week, but that's fine because it's more content for you.
Yeah.
And look, we can take 2 days worth of news and turn it into 3 hours of chat.
Absolutely. You're damn right we can. That's what we do here on this show.
And we aren't even close to done yet. We still got to preview more of that game against the Seahawks, and we still have our super main topic to go.
Uh-oh.
Because we have not discussed SummerSlam, guys.
Oh.
You guys are all for it.
The main event of SummerSlam featured
former Minnesota Vikings.
Former Minnesota Vikings going head-to-head in a match for the Universal Championship. Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns. In one heck of a match.
Only thing I have to say.
Strowman sitting on the outside with his briefcase waiting to cash it in. So if you're a wrestling fan, a lot of people kind of enjoyed this match, and I thought it was fun too. So check out SummerSlam if you haven't. If you have, let us know what you thought, because I thought it was fun.
Can we extradite Ronda Rousey, please? Out of the country and get her away for good.
Her beating Alexa Bliss, man, that's not even right.
And I can't. You know,
I've watched a fan of Alexa Bliss. I'm not a fan of you.
I got to come to you guys for my wrestling news. I should know better. I just get it from little updates on Facebook that told me today that Ronda Rousey won over the weekend. And I was like, that's a little fast.
It's very fast, and she's still really raw in the ring. But you know who isn't raw in the ring? Roman Reigns. Everybody loves him. As we're recording this right now, the Baltimore Ravens are beating the Indianapolis Colts in the fourth quarter with 3:46 to go over on ESPN. So if you're watching football, there's football over there.
Dear God, there's football on right now.
There's football on right meow.
Insane. Can we have this all the time?
I know. We were talking about that last week too. I kind of want NFL games every day of the week.
Well, you know, it would be bad for everyone because then I would not get a lot of stuff done because I would watch a meaningless, horrible game like the Ravens and the Colts. And I'd be like, well, where'd that 3 hours go? I want to bring up one more thing too while we're still talking and we still have a little bit of time left. Can we get Teddy Bridgewater on a team to start somewhere because he's on fire this preseason?
Jacksonville.
Teddy's getting a lot of love from the national media right now, and the more that continues to grow, I think the more pressure will be on teams to sign him.
We were going through, and we were just thinking about situations where A.J. McCarron, quarterback for the Bills, he's going to be out for a little while. He has the same kind of hairline fracture that Aaron Rodgers had, so I'm guessing he's probably going to miss at least the first half of the season. I don't see him being as good of an athlete as Aaron Rodgers to come back as quickly, so I'd say to maybe week 8 or 9. Josh Allen is absolute trash. I'm with Jalen Ramsey all the way. Let him sit on the bench because I don't know what the hell the Bills were thinking drafting him that high. But He could play in Buffalo right now. He's definitely better than Blake Bortles. I think we could all agree with that. There's a spot down there.
Definitely put pressure on Bortles.
I think he needs to go to Miami because he's a Miami kid, and Ryan Tannehill's coming off an injury, and he wasn't that good before anyways.
Agreed.
There's a lot of places that make a lot of sense, but I think he's going to go in somewhere else. If not, who knows? Maybe the Jets will keep him and they see that they have a good piece. He's definitely the best quarterback that's performed thus far for them. He looks good. And if you guys haven't watched his highlights, go find him on the internet, man. He's making throws like dime throws. Even the ones where the receivers drop him, he's putting them right where it needs to be. He looked like the Teddy that we were all excited about before he got injured. Looks like he's back there finally. So,
have you seen those interviews too where he said that he's welcoming contact? He wants to test out that knee. He's feeling good.
I did. I watched it today, and seeing him get sacked when he was playing the Redskins, he said he was ready because he wanted to, shake off the rust, get the jitters out, and he's back, man. He looks great. Nothing but love for Teddy Bridgewater. We've never said a bad thing about that kid here, and I want to see him starting somewhere else because Sam Darnold's going to be the future of the Jets, and they're undoubtedly going to do stupid Jet things and rush him in way too fast instead of playing Teddy like they should. So,
Tommy Gunn is talking in the chat about the Seattle Seahawks, and I think that we've got an interesting chance to talk about a team that is on a weird transition. They're not the Legion of Boom anymore. They lost a lot of their defensive stars. Their offensive line still isn't good, but they've got a lot of talent on offense where they can put up a lot of points. So what's the chance that Seattle continues to be the strong team that we remember from the past couple of years?
Aren't we playing them this year too?
I think just preseason.
I thought we were playing them this season as well. I'll check, guys, while you guys talk about it for a second. I can talk about it because I'm excited for this guy. Tom Johnson, Seattle Seahawk. You'll probably see him in action this weekend. Hey, we always had love for Tom Johnson, and
absolutely,
he's up there in Seattle now.
Yeah, but this Seattle-Minnesota game, like I've said, the dress rehearsal, I love that Minnesota has such strong opponents during the preseason, teams that are known for being super competitive. I don't like when teams put together their preseason schedule and they're taking on these, cakewalk teams.
We are playing the Seahawks this year. We are playing the Seahawks in Seattle this year. And I knew I talked about it before because all the years before you kind of pencil in, maybe we'll split with the Packers. If we played the Patriots, you're like, well, there's a loss. We always used to think about, or at least I did, because I try to be as realistic as possible. I'm like, man, we're probably not going to beat Seattle. We just don't have a good record against them, especially not in Seattle. We played them Monday, December 10th on Monday Night Football, Week 14. I think we have a real shot to beat this team. I think we're better than them.
Yeah, we can beat Seattle in Seattle because, like Adam said,
I hate that it comes down to like the Legion of Boom disbanding and then people getting hurt, and Russell Wilson's the only person on the offense besides Doug Baldwin. But feels like we have a real shot.
Guys, that's life. That's what happens. Teams get older, and teams trend up, and teams trend down. And
yeah, there's certainly been on the downward trend in the last couple of years. But Russell Wilson just keeps playing like an MVP every single year. You can never count that dude out. Like, you just can't. It should be fun, but that's weird. I feel like we usually don't play a lot of the teams in preseason again in the regular. I don't remember seeing that a lot, but
usually that don't happen. I don't think.
We do play a Monday Night Football in Seattle, Week 14, so that's cool. A little preview of what's to come.
Yeah, I'm excited for this game on Friday. Hopefully, we'll have a lot of people tuned in. Let's talk a little bit more about the Survival League, which is up and running. If you need a link to it, it's posted up on the Purple People Podcast Facebook page. I asked our team to post it up on Twitter. Don't know if they did or not, but I did ask, so hopefully it's there.
Get right on that.
Get signed up if you aren't, because those Minnesota Vikings prize packages can be a lot of fun. And I've already made my picks for week 1, so get in there, make your picks.
Ooh. Who are you picking? Spoilers?
Come on, you know I can't do that.
Can you tell us one team?
Week 1, let's see. Maybe I picked the San Francisco 49ers.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
We would kick you off the show.
I think he's fibbing, guys. I think he's telling a lie.
Oh, that would be something, though, wouldn't it? I love how Paul Allen usually says the team's going to go 16-0, and this year when they asked him, he said 13-3. It's like, what the heck?
Maybe this will finally be the year we actually go 16-0 because he didn't say it. because every year it's I don't see a loss on this record. Thanks, Paul. Thanks for that.
Thanks for the insight, Mr. Allen.
That's always a lot of fun. But that's essentially all I've got for this week. You guys got anything else you want to add?
No, I think that's a wrap on the Vikings talk this week.
Share us, guys. Share us on all your social media sites. Do it. Share us on all your social media sites. Get these likes up. Tell people to subscribe to Twitter and YouTube and Facebook to all our stuff. I mean,
thumbs
really
up on that YouTube.
Yeah, get us out there. Tell your friends about us, please, if you can. If you would like, it only take a couple seconds. Hit the subscribe little bell on YouTube, and you'll get a notification like I do when we go live. Pops up in my computer and lets me know, oh crap, the Pro People podcast is going live right now. You can get in on the show like we do, and we talk to all the people in the chat. Like, you could be a part of that too. We'll shout you out. We'll talk about the topics you want to talk about, and yeah, get in on that Survival League too. I'm telling you. We gave away a lot of cool stuff last year. I'll give it to it, mainly Adam. But I helped pay for shipping, I promise. But
he did. He's very good about that.
Get in because you'll get free prizes. You get free prizes for playing along and just listening to the show. It's our way of hooking you in, keeping you tuned, and it's a fun thing to do. And it's not exactly like fantasy football. It's a lot much simpler if you guys have never done a Survival League. So it's real easy. You can just pick a team who's going to win or lose that week. That's it.
And then you can't pick that team again, though. That's the only rule.
So how good are you at the betting odds? And, hey, do you know this matchup pretty well? You know who's going to win that game this week. It's pretty cool, and you get free stuff out of it if you win. So,
and we've had one guy that's won every year except one, so we got some tough competition.
Yeah, you do. I'll plug it for everybody else, too. Kyle West is on another podcast, which is awesome. I love saying it. I'm gonna steal it from you this week just because I love saying the name of the podcast. He's on another podcast. They talk about movies and film. It's called Shut Up, I Like This. I think it's the best name I've ever heard for a podcast. It's so funny.
Pretty awesome.
Shut Up, I Like That. But yeah, Shut Up, I Like This. Go check them out. I'll be on there one day. I'm gonna weasel my way in somehow.
We gotta make suggestions for movies for you to watch on there because I want you to watch Ghost Shark. I love Ghost Shark.
All right. Can I get a little bit? I don't even want to preview the plot. Can you give me an idea of what I'm going to be getting into? Is it something that's just going to be ridiculous?
Oh, it's ridiculous and it's fantastic.
Is it like Sharknado ridiculous?
If you love corny horror movies, you'll love it.
Ghost Shark.
We do. You'll have to email. You look us up on Facebook or YouTube and find the contact information. But yeah, email Jeff. We take submissions from people who listen, and yeah, we'll watch your movies.
Because there's one of the best kills I've ever seen in a movie that happens in Ghost Shark. It made me laugh so hard that I nearly peed myself. It was great.
Sounds amazing.
Tommy Gunn wants to know if Ghost Ship is awesome.
Ghost Ship is good.
But he also wants to know, are any of us going to a game, preseason or regular?
I can say with confidence I will not make a game this year, but I will say with the same amount, if not more confidence, that next season I will be out of the military then. I will be closer to home. I am making it every bit of my priority next season. I will find a game to go to, and I will find at least one of you there. We will have a beverage, and we will watch the Vikings. Not this year, though. So encouragement, like we say before, if you guys go, Tommy did it. I did it when I went to the Panthers game 2 years ago. Just if you guys go to a game, send us your pictures and stuff. And if you want to let us post them, we'll post on your behalf and talk about it. That would be cool.
I got some fun news. My other podcast partner from Shut Up, I Like This, Jeff, is a Seahawks fan. He wants to come on next week and talk Vikings-Seahawks preseason game with us. So that'll be fun. We've never had someone who's the opinion of the opposing team on the podcast before.
I went on a New Orleans Saints podcast following the division round playoff game, and that was fun.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we'll get Jeff on. Jeff is not a bandwagon Seahawks fan. He actually grew up in Seattle and then moved here to Iowa with his family. So he's actually has the legitimate knowledge of the team like what we do of the Vikings. So that'll be a lot of fun. I look forward to that. Next week will be a fun show.
Personally, right now, I am looking at attending either the game against the Buffalo Bills or the Arizona Cardinals because I'm kind of trucking my way through seeing the Vikings take on each team in the league and hopefully getting a win out of each of them. That's my goal.
The same plan that I have. I want to do this, but I want to do the away games. Obviously, I'd go to Minnesota. When my son is older, I want to take him and experience the city that they're in, kind of do a country tour, the USA, just kind of to see different parts. But that's a great idea. I hope that every time you go that they win, because then we can really know that you are the good luck charm. And then you have to get season tickets.
I have really enjoyed watching the Vikings win when I go to games, and it's weird that the closest game I've ever been to, whether it's, I could say that it was the game against the Green Bay Packers with the Trey Waynes interception.
Amazing.
That was such a good game. But that preseason game against the 49ers, man, came down to the very last second scramble.
Oh my gosh, was this last season or the year before?
That was last season.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. It was a scrambling touchdown win, correct?
Yep.
See, you can have fun in a preseason game.
Oh, next week.
It would have been sad for my streak to end on a preseason game.
I'm excited for next week's show. I was just chatting with Jeff right now. We're going to try to record our end of the conversation from we call it the "Shut Up, I Like This" studio. So this will be a fun one next week. This will be a first for the Purple People podcast.
That'll definitely be interesting.
I have to shout out my guy, Adam Carlson. If you guys want up-to-date Viking news, half the notes that I steal whenever I do contribute to the notes for the show, I steal it from the Viking.
They're all from Adam's work.
Yeah, they're all from Adam's stuff at the Viking Age. And think of it this way. When you click on an article and you actually leave feedback, this actually ups his numbers so you can help him, I don't know, buy that shiny new Viking shirt that he wants to buy. Go on social media, go to his website, look it up. Follow the Viking Age. They have an app. I follow them on Fansided. It's fantastic. You can get all sorts of Viking news. This isn't the generic ESPN stuff. You can get all sorts of inside stuff there, and Adam's a good contributor on that show, so check it out.
If you guys,
Adam Patrick over there does a lot of great work too. He recently did an article on whether or not Vikings should look at Georgie Oka, who just got released from the Cincinnati Bengals, has ties to Mike Zimmer and the Bengals defense. So there's a lot of really unique views that you can get from checking out the Viking Age. And like Mr. Smith said, you can check out the Viking Age app, which is great. You'll get notified each time a new article comes up. And, of course, the Purple People podcast goes up on the Viking Age. It'll go up tomorrow, since this is kind of a late recording. But also, Undead Walking. If you're a fan of The Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead is doing real well right now. There's a lot of real interesting stories going on right now, a lot of changes, a lot of new characters, lots of new focus. And, of course, it's really interesting watching those zombies dealing with the weather.
That's cool. I didn't know they did that.
Yeah, this is something kind of new that they're doing with the series. And I think it's kind of fun, different, unique, and just different. And I like different. I like seeing some new things every once in a while. The story can get a little stale once in a while, but what can you do? You can change it up and give fans something a little different. And that's what they're doing. It's a lot of fun. So you can download the app for Undead Walking as well on Android or the Apple Store. There's also apps for the Fansided store. And, of course, there's the Fansided Swag store where you can buy the Viking Age or Undead Walking shirts, hats, mugs, or whatever you like. So check out all that stuff.
I want to give a shout-out to my band. We played 2 shows this weekend, really against what I would normally do, closing a show from 11:15 p.m. to 1:30 a.m. to close a bar, and then playing a benefit show at 1 p.m. 12 hours later. It was rough. We had amazing sound on the first show. It sounded like when you would go to see a band live at a nice concert hall or whatever. The sound guy that we had there was incredible. Everyone was hooked up to, include my drummer. His drum kit was fully live in this tiny bar that fit about 50 people. But Metallica tribute band in here in El Paso. If you want to see us, if you want to check our stuff out, we have some videos up to Disposable Ink. Had a great show. Shout out to my guys in the band, and I can't wait for the next one. So I'll keep you posted when that is.
Well, that's all we got for this week. I want to thank all you guys tuning in. Remember, head on over to YouTube, Purple People Podcast. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe, hit that bell to get the notifications. And we do appreciate all you guys joining us here in the chat. It was great to have a nice audience in here to chat with us during our recording. So much fun. Remember to interact with us on Facebook, Twitter. I don't think we have Instagram yet, but I think Mr. Smith's still working on that.
Yeah, we can get that going. I'd love to do that. We talked about it before. It just never took off.
And let's make that happen. Remember, sign up for that Survival League. Get yourself some prizes. Let's have some fun. And let's talk about that game against the Seahawks when that happens on Friday, because I am looking forward to that as well. Thanks again to everyone for joining us, and thank you to the Kyles for hopping in. Hopefully we'll get Dorian Foley back here with us soon. He's dealing with some family issues, but we'll be more than happy to have him back when he's able. Hope everything goes a little bit better for you, man. And remember to stay classy, Minnesota.